All right, today we are going to go through investigation 1.5 of comparing bits and pieces. This lesson is over equivalent ratios and equivalent fractions and what that means. So real quickly, we're going to go over a couple of vocabulary words. One term is comparison statement, which is a statement that shows a comparison between two objects. It's that simple. And then we have a tape diagram, which is a drawing that looks like a piece of tape used to model expressions. It's also called a bar model. And these are going to look kind of like the thermometers that we've been talking about as far as the fundraising goals. So moving on. I'm going to erase this real quick. We talked a little bit in the video for 1.4 about ratios and making them equivalent to fractions and all of this. But just to review, a ratio is a comparison statement that uses both numbers and words to show how two quantities are related. To write ratios, we can use the words for every, to, or a colon. For example, we could write these following three comparisons. That for every $60 the sixth graders plan to raise, the seventh graders will raise 90. We can also rewrite it as the ratio of sixth grade goal to seventh grade goal is 60 to 90. And we can also rewrite that as the ratio of the sixth grade goal to seventh grade goal is 60 to 90. And that colon means to, and we use that word to and that colon a lot in math. So we really need to have that down, that those two things are equivalent. Now, once we have this 60 to 90, and I'll fix my little 60 here so that it looks more like a 60 to 90. There we go. Okay, we can also call it, I'm going to have to change the line size, 60 to 90. And then like I showed you in investigation 1.4, we can have it as 60 over 90. It's still a ratio here because this is just another way to write it. So right there when we talk about fractions and ratios, it's really up to the problem when we decide what to do. So we are going to take a look at this page here. And this page can be found on page 24 in your book. And now what they've done on this page is that they've taken and they've given us different heights of tape diagrams or the fundraising thermometers. And I'm going to go ahead and put the top of it here. And after 10 days, the sixth grade has raised up to this far of their goal. Seventh graders have raised that much of their goal. Eighth graders have raised that much of their goal. And the teachers have went this far above their goal. So we're going to take a look at how we can make some comparisons and do this. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to come up with some way of indicating this. So we can do a couple of things. One is that we can kind of divide it into halves, but we have to be very careful. Okay, so we'd have a half here, and then right about here would be 3/4, and right about here would be that would be 1/4. So it's a little bit above 3/4 of their goal. And the other way that we can tell is that this part right here, if I would to trace this as a rectangle, okay, and then I would copy that, that I would have to put in, see, we would have way more than 4. So I know that that is not equal to 1/4 of my goal. It looks to me like that would be 3, that this would help us divide the sixths up. So by doing the missing part in relation to what is left, I can see for the sixth grade goal, whoops, I have to drag these down here. So there's another one, and I'll have to make a couple of more and put them in here. And I realize that my drawing is not perfectly rectangular, but it does suit the purpose. Okay, so we've got 6 different pieces here, and if they were all stacked end to end, it would work really wonderful, but that's kind of hard to get done exactly on time. But notice how when we rectangulared or shaded in or did this part of our tape strip that was empty, we were able to actually cut it into equal parts. And then what that tells me is that 6th grade has reached 5/6 of their goal. Okay, and to figure out how much that would be, we would have to take 300, divide it by 6. Okay, so that would give us $50. Okay, and then we could take 50 times 5, and that would give us $250. So the 6th graders have raised $250 after 10 days. So again, we're going to go with the similar process for 7th grade. We're going to go, and instead of cutting it into fraction parts, we're just going to outline the part of the thermometer or tape diagram that they didn't use, and we're going to copy it and then paste it a few times. And look, we have one there, and this one. So it looks to me like 7th grade raised 2/3 of $450. So they raised 2/3 of $450. So if we took 450 and divided that by 3 and then multiplied that answer by 2, we would get what that would be, and we would find out that 7th grade raised 300. So 2/3 of 7th grade's goal was equal to 300. All right, so sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties, so you probably noticed that the screen has changed a little bit from just a few seconds ago. Real quick, let's do it one more time with the 8th graders. Again, we're going to use the part that we don't have. Okay. And whoa, now we're experiencing more technical difficulties, so hold on just a minute. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the 8th graders, using what we don't have done to help us figure out what we do have done. So we're going to copy and paste that a few times and drag it over here. So there's 1, and we would do 2, and 3. So it looks like they've raised roughly 2/3 or 3/4 of their goal. So 3/4 of 150. Okay, and again, we'd find it a very similar way, the dollar amount there. Now what we want to do is do the same thing for the teachers. Only this time, instead of there being an empty spot, we have their original goal is there, and they have raised this much more. So we need to figure out what part the teachers have raised. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just sit there and we're going to copy that rectangle, paste it a few times so we could drag it over, and we can find that the teachers have raised, whoops, do this one more time. It looks to me like the teachers have raised roughly, and again, this is not exact because we didn't have any markings on these, that the teachers have raised roughly 5/4 of their goal of $360. So in order to figure that out, we would have to divide 360 by 4. Okay, and that would give us 90. And then we would take 90 times 5, and that would give us 450. So the teachers raised $450, and all of the other grades actually did less than that. So real quick, I'm going to show you the question that you need to have done before you come to class. Before coming to class tomorrow, I want you to answer A1 and A2 in your spiral. Now, we should already have the answers with the exception of 8th grade, so you only have one more to find for A1, and then copy in an A2. And we actually have almost all of A answered based on what we've talked about in the video. So I am going to get off of here because it's already been almost 10 minutes, and that is long enough for one day. Again, Please review this and make sure to answer A1 and 2 before coming to class tomorrow.